So we're gonna pressure can this salmon. I've got all my tools laid out here. The salmon, cutting board, fillet knife, these little things here to help grab the jars and fill the jars. This great book, some pickling salt, 8-pint jars, a pot that is a pressure canner. And to assure you, a pressure canner has this thing, so that's a pressure canner. And then these lids to the jars that we're gonna use. Just the first step is getting all of the tools right here laid out. These jars have been cleaned, so they're sterile. This here, they're brand new lids, but I'm still gonna heat them up because it warms up the rubber seal and that helps it to grip onto the jars. And then basically all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this jar here, I'm gonna measure out the salmon like this, and I'm gonna make a cut here. Never going above this low line right there. And then I'll make the cut, and then we'll pack all the jars to the sound of the crying babies. Twins. You know, the sound of the crying can help you just to focus even better. Because if I'm not doing this, then I'm having to hold a crying baby. And that can be tough. Also, it's a good reminder that all of these kids need to eat. And there's no better food in the world than home-caught canned salmon. So I don't think I need to explain this to you again, but in case you didn't notice, I'm just taking out these fillets. They were frozen. And I'm laying down this jar to this lower line here, measuring it. If you got a better eye, you can do it without having to do this. And then I'm cutting this. So that way it'll pack into the jar, but not be any higher than that. I was pretty intimidated about doing this because pressure canning scares a lot of people, understandably so. But I had a really awesome man who taught me how to do it. And because he walked me through it step by step, it gave me the confidence to be able to do it on my own. And I'm thankful. Now, when we're at this point, all these jars are almost full, but I need more. And it would have been smart of me to pull out more, but I didn't. What I did pull out was this bag full of just scrapings of the salmon when I cleaned it. And so I save all those little chunks and put them into a separate bag, and then I'll use them as well as these cuttings to finish filling up the jars. So it's a good use of the salmon as well as being able to pressure can the skin and the bones and all of that. No part of the salmon, well, the last part of the salmon goes to waste when we do it like this, and it's shelf stable for I don't know, there's all kinds of arguments about how long it can stay on the shelf, but we eat it for at least a few years. I've opened canned salmon that was 5 years old and there's no problem with it. And so just gotta follow these steps. Make sure you do it correctly. When I finish filling these up, I'll add 1 teaspoon and a little bit of salt to each one, but I'll show you along the way. Okay, so I'm taking these ones here, these pieces, and I'm putting them in the jar. Pack them down in there. Pack it as hard as you can. You don't want any air space in there. So I'd say that one's just about full. That's it. Okay. Now I'll show you what I do. Do that. They're all packed. Now I take 1 heaping teaspoon of salt and I put it in. I do that to each one. Now they all have salt. I'm gonna take this paper towel. I'm gonna wipe the rims of each one of them. Okay, once I put the lids on, again, I remind you that these lids are all brand new. I use these old rings. Now, it doesn't matter if the rings are brand new or not. You want to make sure that the lids are brand new. And I'll tighten them down on there, not too tight where, I'm about to break the darn things, but tight enough where it holds it on there real nice. And then I'll tighten that a little bit more. So I put that on every one. Okay, so now we've got all 8 jars in there. They shouldn't be touching each other or the pot. If they're touching either each other's glass or the pot, they can break. So it's best to just try to get them in the perfect spot. And we're gonna put this lid on and we're gonna start gaining pressure. Okay, so now we're at 0 PSI. We got this little flumdidity on there. Don't know the names of it, but I've done it and it works. And I'm gonna reference my book here, which says process at 10 pounds of pressure, 240 degrees for 1 hour and 50 minutes. So what that means is we wait until this pressure canner starts building pressure. And once it gets up to that 10, the dial reaches the 10, then we start the timer for 1 hour and 50 minutes. If it ever goes below the 10, we have to start back at 0. So this is where Dad sets up a chair in the kitchen and I sit and watch it.